One of the things that you highlight was a recent study that was done taking a look at young people, their fiscal literacy skills, and comparing them across the world.
That's right.
What was the study? What did we find?
Sure. The OECD, which is an international organization, it has an organization within it called PISA, which is the program for international student assessment. And they look at math, science, reading. But this year, for the first time, they include financial literacy in their battery of tests. And they asked 15-year-olds around the world in 18 countries what they knew about basic financial matters. And they found that the U.S. didn't stack up too well. We were below the mean, and we also, as the U.S., were 9th out of 18 countries. So the comparison to other countries is important, but it gave us a lot of good data on the U.S. in its own right.
So the questions were, what kind of questions?
Sure. They would ask people things like, could you understand an invoice? If you were in business, could you understand a paycheck and all the withdrawals that come out of one's paycheck? They'll also ask things about budgeting, about shopping, comparing rates on loans, things like that. Basic tools that most people will need as they enter adulthood in the economy.
As far as the young people in the United States, they fall about average, midway, 492 with a ranking of many countries, China being the top, Colombia being the bottom. Talk about the United States ranking and what it means to you.
Right. I think the United States ranking tells us something really about what we can learn from other nations. There's a few good comparables in there. Australia and New Zealand, I think we can learn a lot from. One thing that it doesn't do, though, is it doesn't make our kids any smarter because Colombia did worse. It doesn't make them any less capable because Estonia did better. So I hate to overfocus on the comparison because we don't want to lose sight of what we need to do in this country. The truth is, many of the countries were clumped in the middle, so most nations can do a lot better on this, and those I talk to in those nations are beginning to realize it.
What do we learn from countries that scored well on the chart, though?
Right. I think Australia is one of the best apples-to-apples comparisons, and talking to some of my opposite numbers in that country reveals that they have a much more highly coordinated effort between the national level, the state level, even down to the classroom. They have a national curriculum that they encourage but don't mandate schools use. They also do a lot on teacher training, and importantly, they include financial literacy at multiple levels in one's education system. So it's not just a high school sort of thing, it's not just a grade school, it's all of the above.